Visiting my elder sibling Mark has always been quite the adventure. Last summer I made a journey to the sprawling city where he resided. While the city was vast and filled with wonders, Mark's home was nestled in a particularly worn-down district, infamous for its notoriety. I wasn't unfamiliar with this place. It wasn't my maiden visit. On one occasion, an alarming disturbance next door had led to a 911 call. Mark and I had watched the incident play out, huddled in his dimly lit front living room. Throughout my visits, Mark would often regale me with eerie tales from the neighborhood. One was about a close friend of his who got mugged while heading home. On another occasion, he had spotted a bullet lying on the pavement. It hadn't been fired. It was more like someone discarded it in haste. The neighborhood's ambiance screamed unrest. On the particular Friday evening of my recent visit, I was expecting nothing more than some sibling bonding and relaxation. Little did I know that the night held tales that would remain etched in my memory forever. Mark's dwelling, though quaint, showed signs of aging. Surrounded by similarly decaying houses, his space was more of an apartment on the ground floor of an old two-story building. There was a singular bedroom tucked away at the rear, which meant I was designated to the living room couch. The first evening passed without a hitch. We ventured out the next day, absorbing the city's sights and wrapping up with some light-hearted revelry at a local bar. On the subsequent evening, fatigue enveloped me, and I retired to the couch. But sleep was elusive. The stillness of the night was shattered by enraged voices echoing from the lanes outside. Panic and confusion clouded my senses. Driven by instinct, I approached the window, cautiously parting the curtains. The sight that met my eyes sent a chill down my spine. In the dim streetlight's glow, two men were locked in a fierce confrontation. While their words were inaudible, the animosity was palpable. The tension peaked when one of them, with swift recklessness, drew a firearm from his waist. The other man, now visibly terror-stricken, raised his hands in a plea for mercy. The next moments were a blur. In a desperate bid for safety, he made a run for it, disappearing into the shadows within moments. The man with the weapon, possibly as shocked by his own audacity, hesitated momentarily. But then, with chilling calmness, he took aim and fired. My heart raced, breath caught in my throat. Paralyzed with fear and anxiety, I withdrew from the window, ensuring I remained unseen. After gathering my wits, I frantically approached Mark's room, knocking softly. "Mark," I whispered, panic evident in my voice, "something's happened outside." Surprisingly, Mark's reaction was nonchalant. "Oh, Dave, stuff like this is pretty common here," he mumbled, half asleep. But upon hearing the gunshot detail, he sat upright, eyes wide. Baffled by how Mark could sleep through a gunshot, I recalled his propensity for deep sleep and the location of his room, somewhat insulated from street noises. Without further ado, I reached out to the authorities. The dispatcher's soothing voice reassured me as I described the incident. A few agonizing minutes later, flashing lights illuminated the street as the police arrived. The investigators worked meticulously. Although I provided my observations, the dim lighting had hindered a clear identification of the assailant. As dawn approached, I packed my belongings. The events of the night had shaken me, making it imperative to depart. In a subsequent conversation with Mark, he relayed that the police had apprehended the shooter. Miraculously, the bullet hadn't found its intended target, but had instead lodged itself in an unoccupied car. The relief was overwhelming, but the haunting what-ifs lingered on. This experience underscored the unpredictable nature of life. The universe functions in mysterious ways, and sometimes it's a mere twist of fate that alters the course of events for better or worse. After enduring a grueling day at my job, the anticipation of coming home to my cozy apartment enveloped my thoughts. I imagined the soft cushions of my sofa and the gentle ambience of my dimmed lights, providing a perfect setting to unwind. The streets of the city, illuminated solely by streetlights, were silent as I began my journey back home. Considering it was a balmy summer evening, I chose the scenic route by foot, allowing the night's air to brush against me, soothing my weary spirit. As I ambled closer to my destination, the familiar silhouette of my apartment building slowly came into view. This structure, standing as a testament to time, spanned 3 stories high. My humble abode was nestled on its second floor. A distinct feature of my apartment was its window facing a narrow alley, accompanied by a rusty fire escape. On numerous occasions, I found solace on that fire escape, often stepping out to relish a cigarette or merely soak in the view. The sweltering summer meant that this window remained ajar almost incessantly, acting as a makeshift ventilation system in the absence of an air conditioner. Once inside my building, my feet carried me up the singular flight of stairs. The rhythmic thud of my shoes echoing through the hallway felt like the final stretch of a marathon. The clock had struck midnight, and the allure of my bed was near irresistible. Pushing open the door to my apartment and flipping the light switch, I was greeted by the familiar setting of my living room. A sigh of sheer relief escaped me as the weight of the day finally started to ebb away. However, this fleeting moment of serenity was punctuated by an eerie creak echoing from the direction of my bedroom. Every fiber in my being sensed something amiss. The aged wooden floors of my apartment had their unique symphonies, and I could swear this sound was distinctly from my bedroom. Despite the exhaustion wearing me down, my instincts sharpened, alerting me to potential danger. My rationale screamed at me to evacuate and alert the authorities, but curiosity, sometimes an unwise companion, nudged me to investigate. Venturing towards my bedroom felt like an eternity, each footstep weighed down by the gravity of uncertainty. As I approached the closed bedroom door, another haunting creak resonated from within. An inexplicable impulse took over, compelling me to knock on my own bedroom door. It was an absurd gesture, giving any potential intruder a forewarning of my presence. Silence dominated the next few moments. Maybe I had been hallucinating, or my exhaustion had played tricks on my mind. Steeling my nerves, I gently opened the door, only to be met by the chilling sight of a shadowy figure tucked away near my closet. The figure's features were obscured, but a brief glint of moonlight revealed long tresses. In a split-second decision, I quietly shut the door, sprinted out of my apartment, and secured the main entrance. A safe distance away, my trembling hands dialed the police. Upon their swift arrival and subsequent search, they escorted a lanky man with flowing hair from my premises. The horror intensified when I learned of a knife, belonging to me, found in his possession. The aftermath of that night saw me grappling with paralyzing fear. It dawned on me that my cherished fire escape, a beacon of solace, had ironically served as the intruder's entrance. The next day, my appeals to my landlord for improved security measures fell on deaf ears. The trauma rendered my once beloved apartment a fortress of unease. Sleep became elusive, and I longed for a sanctuary devoid of haunting memories. As soon as finances permitted, I sought refuge elsewhere, hoping to rebuild my sense of security. I've been working as a paramedic in North Carolina for quite some time now. Given my profession, I've come across many incidents that others would find distressing. But nothing prepared me for what I would experience in my own living space. My current apartment, as I later came to know, was the site of a tragic incident in December 2017. A young woman succumbed to an overdose in that very place. She was found clutching her newborn baby, an image that would haunt any first responder. Knowing this, it might come as a surprise that I chose to live there, but considering the field I'm in, it didn't deter me. In fact, my belief in the paranormal only made me more intrigued. The first 10 months in my apartment were uneventful. My daily routine involved working night shifts, returning home, and sleeping during the day. But about a month and a half ago, things began to change. Every night, or rather early morning, between 3 o'clock and 3:30 a.m., I'd find myself jolted awake. Occasionally, it would be a call of nature, but those instances were rare. My pets, a loyal dog and a docile cat, usually share the room with me. I always sleep with the door open, allowing them to move around. But since these unsettling awakenings began, I'd often find myself gripped with an uncanny sensation, a heavy feeling that someone else is present in the room. 2 days ago, my suspicion took a terrifying turn. At precisely 3:12 a.m., I was startled awake by a chilling scream, almost as if a woman was wailing directly into my ear. Shaken, I tried to console myself, thinking it might have been a dream. But the unease lingered. Trying to calm my frayed nerves, I drew a bath around 4:30 a.m. As I was drying off, a peculiar sound echoed from the front of the apartment. Investigating, I found the light cover strangely ajar. I dismissed it as a minor household issue. Later that day, I narrated the previous night's incidents to my mother over breakfast. Given her strong belief in the supernatural, she was deeply concerned, and her concern only grew when she called me after experiencing 3 distinct knocks on her bedroom door with no one in sight. The eerie events didn't stop there. That very night, as I was unwinding with a movie marathon alongside a friend, we both heard 2 distinct knocks coming from the sliding glass door leading to my balcony. The peculiar thing was, my balcony is on the 2nd floor with no external access, and the large sectional in my living room obstructs the sliding door. My dog's behavior added to the unsettling atmosphere. She kept fixating on a spot on the ceiling, her gaze unwavering. Eventually, she moved to the foot of the bed, a place she never preferred. The cat, on the other hand, was unusually restless, darting around the apartment with loud, frantic meows. The atmosphere in the apartment grew so tense that I opted to spend the night at my parents' place. When my brother, a skeptic until then, accompanied me to my apartment to collect some items, he jokingly said he'd only believe my tales if he saw the blinds move on their own. But as fate would have it, as we were heading back to the car, my gut urged me to glance up towards my apartment window. To my shock, and my brother's utter disbelief, one of the blinds swayed eerily from left to right. Whether it's an entity I unintentionally brought home due to my line of work, or the restless spirit of the previous tenant, I can't say. But I knew I had to do something. I resolved to cleanse and smudge my apartment in hopes of bringing peace. I'll be sure to keep everyone updated on any further developments. Around 7 or 8 years ago, an event took place that only a handful would ever believe. The recollection of that cold, snow-covered night still gives me chills. At that time, I was employed at a pizza joint situated about 45 minutes from my residence. As part of the closing crew, often I found myself departing work late into the night. On this particular evening, my 2 colleagues and I faced an unfamiliar challenge, dealing with ice and snow on our vehicles. Being Texans, such weather was a rarity for us, and our experiences with it were limited. I had never tackled icy roads before, but now faced a decision. My own home was a lengthy 45-minute drive away, while my parents' residence was a mere 3 minutes from my workplace. Knowing they had a spare bedroom, previously my sister's, made the decision easier. Choosing safety over comfort, I rang my parents to ensure it was fine to crash at their place. Their affirmative response was reassuring, so I drove, taking extra caution due to the slippery conditions. Upon arriving, exhaustion quickly took over. After a brief routine, I found myself enveloped in the warmth of the bed, falling into a deep slumber almost immediately. However, tranquility was short-lived. Sometime during the night, I was jolted awake. Though the reason for my sudden consciousness remained elusive, what followed was unmistakably eerie. Distinctly, I felt hands clutching both my feet, tugging me towards the bed's edge. Panic set in, but I instinctively suppressed any reaction, feigning sleep. The sensation lasted mere moments but felt like eternity. Just as relief began to set in, an even more unsettling feeling followed. It felt as though someone or something slid next to me, wrapping arms around my body. Given the layout of the house and the habits of its inhabitants, no logical explanation came to mind. But before I could ponder further, a boyish giggle resonated in the room. It reminded me of a child aged 5 or 7. Curiously, 8 years prior to this incident, tragedy had struck our family. We suffered a grievous loss in a car accident, my younger brother. Over the years, some peculiar occurrences led me to believe he might be lingering around. As that night's events unfolded, a part of me felt it could be him. Yet the sheer terror of the situation was overpowering, and eventually, I succumbed to unconsciousness. Daylight heralded a new day, and my alarm snapped me back to reality. As I got ready, memories of the previous night rushed back. Sharing my encounter with my parents garnered skeptical looks. My sister, however, had her own tale to tell. In her experience, she sensed an older female presence. Now, at 26, these inexplicable visions and sensations accompany me to various places. They've become a part of my life, though sharing these experiences often attracts mockery. It's a lonely journey, but every icy night brings the memories flooding back.